Hi, this is my hair. I don't wear wigs. Andrew. And this is Gayties Toys. What if I just did this? Yes. Okay. On today's MIA 80s Ladies, we're talking about absolutely, positively, not Scarlett from G.I. Joe, but rather Mayday from G.I. Joe Extreme, which, as the name implies, is extreme. G.I. Joe Extreme had a bit of a kind of false start, we'll say. The year's 1994, well past where we usually like to, operate in MIA 80s Ladies territory, but this is a good one. G.I. Joe was about to end. They had a supplementary line called Sergeant Savage and His Screaming Eagles, which was created by Joe Kubert. It was, very much 90s extreme, gritty, grimdark, all that. Failed spectacularly, along with the rest of the line. And much like New Adventures of He-Man, G.I. Joe just couldn't let it rest. They had to just sort of, rebrand right away. So they went more edgy, more extreme, more grimdark, and released G.I. Joe Extreme in 1995. To say G.I. Joe Extreme is reductive is not even beginning to scratch the surface. I mean, they definitely tried to make everything look like a very typical G.I. Joe. You had your blonde hero, your masked villain, you had your token chick who was, funnily enough, a redhead. And, they bumped it up to 5-inch scale, which was sort of, very trendy at that time between, the Star Trek, Wildcats, Ninja Turtles, all that. Everyone was sort of jumping on the, somewhere between 6-inch to 3 3/4 wave. So, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I mean, that's saying something for the 90s. I mean, the most 90s thing you can imagine is hype, and this was that. Hype. At the very least, by this stage, in the mid-90s, all the mistakes of the 80s had been sort of rectified. So G.I. Joe Extreme did come out swinging. They had the first wave of toys. A second one was in the wings, and the cartoon launched around the same time. So, at least they had that brand synergy that, a lot of 80s toy lines had, kind of failed at. There was a second wave in the wings, and I can tell you know where this is going. Because they wanted to make sure that the actual first wave was a success, the cartoon was a success, that they, held back the girl as the risk until wave 2. Of course, the whole thing imploded, and the girl never made it. The girl being Mayday, who, with a name like that, you would assume would be search and rescue, but is nothing of the sort. To be honest, I don't really know what her specialty was. I mean, Scarlett, you were not. She lacked the charm, she lacked the specialty, she lacked the humor. Mayday, as far as I can tell, was that chick, that, grim and gritty, tough fighter. I think she might have been a pilot. Like, there's really nothing much to say about her aside from the fact that she was the Scarlet stand-in, very obviously. In the cartoon, she had a few pretty standout episodes that did, sort of reflect how, Black Widow-y she was, we'll say. What I want to sort of jump on very quickly and actually go on a complete tangent here is sort of, color theory and design. I want to say the toy was probably designed first because they were, well in development. She was shown in the Toy Fair 1996 catalog. So, she was definitely well enough along. Cartoons do, in fact, take quite a bit longer than toys to make, kind of thing. But I do like to think that the cartoons sort of looked at the design they had planned and went in a different direction. And I say this as a point of interest because she shares something else with another big redhead of the 80s, and that's Teela. There's sort of this unwritten rule in animation where two-tone costumes are a big no. You have to add a third component kind of thing just to sort of make the character pop on screen. In Mayday's case, they looked at what the toy was doing with just, beige, tan, black, just very boring colors. And they added some teal along her armor. This would sort of complement the red, the browns, all that, within the color wheel, color theory. Likewise, when Mike Young was doing the 2000X Masters of the Universe Classics relaunch, Teela, again, had a very drab gold and white costume, and the hair was really the focal point. They, too, added teal. So there's sort of this, recurring, tealness of it all. But here's my little rage tangent. For a toy, the neutral colors are probably preferred. I mean, you look at the classic Scarlett. If you have a character with red hair named Scarlett, you want them to focus on the hair. So you cover the figure with tan, black, neutral colors so that your eye automatically goes up to the hair. Likewise, it seems they did the exact same thing for Mayday. I mean, she had the exact same color combo on her. This is, I think a smart move, even though Mayday wasn't known for being, the ginger. The homage was clearly clear. Then you kind of fast forward more recent times when we get to like the Scarlett of G.I. Joe Classified. Both versions, frankly. I mean, they looked at this color theory of like black, tan, red and said, no, let's go hard. Let's make the boob armor gold and yellow. Let's do blue energy accent on everything. Let's do brown pants with a red stripe. Let's do a purple top. And the red hair, let's make it as mousy, orangey Nicole Kidman as we can possibly imagine it. Like, what about that figure was Scarlett? I don't know. I mean, they've gone back and corrected that with their kind of retro release, but like, I just had to get that out there. I don't really get to talk about Scarlett enough on this channel, and it was an issue. Back to the figure of Mayday. Again, pretty gorgeous little figure. I mean, like, she differed greatly from the animation, which is more of like the, kind of big, gruff, manly voiced kind of character, but the Mayday figure would have been a welcome addition. It would have actually probably propelled me to buy this toy line, but alas, as I mentioned, saved off for Wave 2, and like so many before her, was cancelled. There is a bit of a retribution in the sense that her really wackadoo jet ski armored tank thing did eventually go off to Ski Attack Robin, which was part of like the tail end of the Batman the Animated Series line, and so at least that really stupid accessory lived on in Robin, which is probably where it belonged to begin with. The final verdict here isn't great, but frankly, none of the G.I. Joe, Extreme team really kind of came out unscathed from this. She, like some other characters, has made appearances in comic books in years past. I mean, probably the most notable appearance since G.I. Joe Extreme was in Devil's Due Publishings, where she was a G.I. Joe sharpshooter. Looked wildly different than, either the Mayday of the Extreme or Scarlett before her. So probably a smart move in that regard. But that said, like, no figures have been made. And frankly, like, precious few of the rest of the team has been made either. There's not a real, clamoring for this. All that said, G.I. Joe Classified is still trucking. They're still doing great. And they've really burned through most of the major women, to have been done, aside from some variants or, some other kind of minor characters from comic books. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some version of Mayday at some point in the future, because again, they're not afraid of making women, and they're kind of running out real quick. So I think she might belong in there, whether they go the IDW or the Devil's Due look, or her actual classic look, which is very reminiscent, or in fact could be a repaint of Scarlett. It's hard to say where they want to go, but I don't know. I mean, if there's fans out there, definitely sign off. Let me know. But I don't think anyone's really, breaking down the doors of Hasbro looking for this figure. And that was G.I. Joe Extreme's Mayday. It was absolutely not Scarlett, but also a very extreme version of Scarlett. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please comment, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time on MIA 80s Ladies.